Hey, what's up, guys? How are we all doing? Back again. I know it's been a while. I was away on holiday, getting engaged, spending time with the family. That's the reason for the lack of content. And it appears I couldn't have picked the worst time to go because a lot happened. You know, as I was on holiday, every day I was going past and I was thinking, I've really messed up here. There's a lot going on. I think it was on the third day of me being there, Chris Davies got announced. And I know you probably would have seen a lot of stuff about all the stuff going on at Blues, and maybe other channels or social media people have covered it. But I'm just going to run back over the few, give my take on them. Maybe a few things that I'm excited about. I'm excited about a lot. I think a lot of stuff's happened. For a start, Chris Davies, weird one. Very weird. I've got to be honest, I've never been more excited about a man I've never heard of. Do you know what I mean? I can honestly say I'd never heard of him before. Obviously, he worked with Ange Postecoglou at Spurs, Celtic, Brendan Rodgers. I believe he was it Leicester? He was somewhere else as well. It might have been Leicester, I can't quite remember. But yeah, you know, watching his interviews and that, he seems super positive, well put together, charismatic, young. He says the right things. You know, when I watched his interview, his first interview for the club, it was weird because he didn't say anything that was super exciting. But that's not always a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? Some people just don't. Everything was right, but there was no like exciting punchlines to the interview, which kind of gave him that calming effect. You know, he seemed like a calm guy. He wasn't going to say stuff just to say stuff. I felt everything he said was genuine. Well, you know, attacking football, possession with a purpose. You can see how that was exactly what the owners would have been looking at. And I think it's very brave from the owners. I have to give them credit because they didn't bow. I liked the way, you know, they did take a while to pick a manager, which in hindsight, I know at the time it's worrying, and I was one of the many people kind of thinking, all right, we kind of need to get on with this now because, you know, transfer window's opening soon. But credit to them, you know, they took the time and they picked what I think could be the right guy. And I know that's very hypocritical because I never would have mentioned it before they'd announced him. And if someone would have mentioned him before they did announce him, I would have went, oh, probably not. But after seeing him, they've swayed me. I trust Tom Wagner. I've said it multiple times. I trust Tom Wagner. So if Tom Wagner likes him, I like him. Maybe that's a bit of a cop-out, easy for me to say, but I find it true. He seems like a nice dude, man. I felt sorry for him in the interview when he was walking around having to meet the whole club, name after name after name. And Blues fans, we would have noticed the small things in the interview. You know, the bit where he's in the locker room and he's like, oh, hell of a song that is, talking about we're off to parties had. You think, that's what you want to hear. You know, the way he's looking at the shirt, the things he's saying, he's talking about the atmosphere. He seems familiar with the club. And I wouldn't blame him if he wasn't, because he's never really been in and around the Championship where Blues traditionally have been. But I seem to like him. He seems quite charismatic. Can you imagine the amount of youngsters he knows, the amount of professionals he's met, players-wise I'm speaking, that he could think, you could come and do half a job here. You know, just maybe you can fit in here, maybe we can get you some first-team football if you're in the reserves for Spurs or Celtic or... I don't know, it's not how transfers work, but it's generally how a fan thinks that the past clubs you've been at, you've met players that would maybe do a job for you at your new club. So yeah, I'm really excited. Really, really happy with the signing. The other thing, the kit's got released. I've got to be honest, I know overwhelmingly positive from almost everyone. I'm not the biggest fan of our home kit, if I'm completely honest. I will get it. And in fact, the more I see it, the more it's growing on me. Because I didn't like this kit originally, if I'm honest. This whole... It's not too dissimilar, the new one, actually. It's got the white strip just across here, with obviously the undefeated logo in the middle. I loved the keeper kit, the green one. I think it's the first time in my life I'm actually going to go and buy a keeper's shirt. Really, really liked it. And I saw that not all the patterns are similar per keeper shirt because of how they've been recycled, which is cool. I like that. Another thing that's happened, something that I've been moaning about for years, and so has my dad, is the app on the Blues store. The app was abysmal for years, man. Trying to watch Blues TV on anything, if you needed it, it was just a nightmare. Absolutely shocking. I'm a big fan of the new app. I love everything. The one thing that really did worry me was if you click on squads, we've got 18 players. Like, you go to scroll down and you're at the end already. So that just kind of highlighted to me how desperately we need a transfer. I like you can download live wallpapers. You can back your favourite player. There's player stories. I was talking to my mates and they're Villa fans, and they were saying, "God, that's better than our app, and we're a Premiership club." You know, so it just shows professionalism. If you can hit all the little areas, you start to think, this is a football club. How long has it been since you think, yeah, this is proper, that's professional, that's nice. Spending 15 million in the pre-season on doing up the stadium with screens, opening a kit store. The amount of positivity and proactiveness, professionalism, drive, passion by the owners, it's so refreshing. I forgot that we're in League One. I forgot we got relegated. Almost. That's insane. Record numbers of season ticket sales. 4,000 on the first day. So we're here. I still haven't secured mine. My mate does ours. Obviously it's early. What's it called? Early bird. You know, when you've had previous ones, you go get your next one. So you can't get them. The site's too busy. That's brilliant. Now, don't get me wrong, I want a season ticket, but that's brilliant. It's just so much positivity for a team that have just been relegated. It's absolutely unbelievable. I can't wait for the next open house where you really get the numbers book out and start saying, you know, well, despite being in League One, our revenue is that of clubs outside the Championship playoffs. Do you know what I mean? Can you imagine that? Absolutely brilliant. Still no word on transfers. I saw a few that we've been linked with. I saw that we bid, not technically bid, but we're willing to spend £4 million on the lad from Oxford. Blues spending £4 million just like that. Our record transfers £6 million for Sunjic. So the fact that they're just like that, it's like, I know we've been saying for weeks that we're going to be spending money, but you know when you actually see the rumours and you see the prices that are being associated with Blues, and I know that in the grand scheme of football, £4 million really isn't a lot of money, but we're just happy to see it's not some, no offence to previous signings, but not some 34-year-old shot-out player that's coming here on a ridiculous amount of money for his retirement package. How many times have we seen that? Or we've seen a youngster that has failed at a big club like Barcelona. You know, Jehilevic's, who was a good player for us, decent, don't get me wrong, but it's always one end of the spectrum. It's always a failed world-class youngster or some shot-out veteran. And now we're getting people that are like 23 years old, you know, he's coming into his prime, he wants to find his club. It's really exciting stuff. Really, really exciting. I'm just gonna drop this in the middle of the video, and I felt like I had to say it, but unfortunately, Sarkic passed away, the goalkeeper, and a lot of you will have already heard the news on social media. But I just thought it was so sad when I woke up, man. Is he 26 years old? It's 2 years younger than me, that is. I'm 28. So, massive rest in peace to Sarkic. I thought that was so sad, man. Brilliant keeper. Well, I'd have loved him back at the Blues, man. I really would have. He was a bit beyond us. I think he was really moving up the leagues in terms of football, man. But it's so sad to hear that. I was going to put it in the title of the video, but I didn't really want to use his name as clickbait. Do you know what I mean? Oh, look at this YouTuber. You know, rest in peace Sarkic in the title. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to clickbait his name. So I thought I'd just drop it in the middle and just to say that Blues fans were thinking about him and were so sorry to hear about the unfortunate news, and big love to his family. I just wanted to get that somewhere in the video, but we'll move on. But rest in peace to Sarkic, brilliant player. Thank you for your service to the Blues and for football at large. I'm sure Montenegro will do a nationwide thing for him. From what I hear, a wonderful person and obviously a brilliant player. Yeah, so moving on. I don't want to be too abrupt, but moving on. I don't know if any of you has managed to watch John Ruddy on the FozCast. Now, they seem to be bleeding out the interview in small bits. It's generally what he does. He bleeds out little sections on the interview and then releases the podcast once it's got some hype. Some very interesting things what John Ruddy said, and the one thing that I've watched quite a lot of it, and the one thing he said that really made it click and made sense for me was the amount of denial in the club in the last few weeks approaching the relegation situation. He said some people genuinely didn't realise we was in trouble until the last day. How worrying is that? I'm not going to stick on this too long because what's done is done. But I thought it was very interesting. He also said some really nice things about Wayne Rooney. He basically said the style that Wayne Rooney wanted us to play, we just simply weren't good enough. Wayne Rooney will come on and he'd play a pass in his Air Forces, and it'd be better than any pass they could make. And I think Wayne Rooney just struggled to understand why people can't do that. And John Ruddy was saying, you know, we're not Wayne Rooney. You need to be realistic in your approach to the team. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. Really interesting interview. Whether he'll stay with us, I'm not too sure. I mean, I bloody hope he does. We've only got one keeper as it stands, and that's him. I don't know if he's accepted the renewal contract. That's not something I'd considered. If maybe out of arrogance, I didn't consider the fact that he might say, I've got a championship club lined up. I'd love him to stay. I can see him as a leader. But I think we're most likely going to offer him a number 2 role. And whether that's something that appeals to him, I'm not entirely sure. But he's a character in the club. I've said it before, I wouldn't necessarily have him for his goalkeeping attributes, but more the character that he is what I find appealing about John Ruddy. It's nice to have that big, strong alpha male, that leader, that veteran around the changing room, isn't it? So, yeah, not something I'd considered, if I'm completely honest. Moving on, I did think that this season it will be time. I've seen the Blues a lot of hype about Ramal Donovan. He seems to be appearing a lot on the Blues social media. I don't know if you've noticed, which is weird because I haven't seen any of Junior Dixon, but maybe that's because they think that the crowd aren't familiar with some of the reserves that haven't played in the first team. But I've seen a lot of Ramal Donovan around the Blues social media modelling the kits, and I know he fancies himself as a bit of a fashion icon. Fair play to him. I've said before on the channel, man, I'm not a fan of the outfits that he puts on. But, you know, he's a young kid, he's got money, do what he wants, who am I to tell him? I think that's it. It was just more of an update from me to let you know that I'm still feeling positive about the season. And I think you guys should be too. I don't know when they release the away kit. I'm looking forward to seeing that though. I'm hoping it's not red. I don't like red or yellow. I don't want red or yellow kits, man. I'd love a white, well, just inverted colours, white and blue. Bit of like an Inter Milan style kit, you know, when they do their white with the blue around the middle. I quite like that. Yeah, but that's everything. Happy Scotland got battered last night. And you know what, I'm not one of these people that support the other British nations. I'm not, man. I'm sick of the amount of the shit that Scottish fans give us. I don't know why they hate us so much. They just do. So I was quite happy to see them get slapped last night. If we didn't get hate from them, I'd have no opinion. I'd probably even maybe support them. But they hate us so much, I'll just really enjoy watching them get slapped. They got slapped so bad, Germany give them a goal. And yeah, made me day. And they got a sending off. It was brilliant. It was brilliant viewing all round. Right, I'll leave you guys to it, man. Thank you for joining me. The videos will be coming regularly, as usual. A couple of times a week, surrounding transfers, any rumours, stuff like that, changes in the club. But it was good to see you guys again, man. And if you don't mind, man, drop us a like and a subscribe. Why did I say that so American? Yeah, it's free to do. You just hit the red button below. It really helps the channel. I really appreciate it, man. I really, really do. It isn't missed when you subscribe. Trust me, I do notice and I do appreciate it. But keep right on, Blue Noses. There's a lot to be positive about going into the future. Looking forward to the pre-season. Take it easy, guys. See you soon.